One of people's biggest problems with Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is the specialist characters. A lot of the abilities are annoying, hard to counter, or just straight up they kill you all the time. And one of the worries with Modern Warfare was, are there going to be specialists in the game? Is there going to be specialist abilities? And the answer to that is kind of. They have changed up the way that specialist characters work, and in fact, they're not even calling them specialist characters. They're calling them operators. And there are a bunch of different operators, but they don't operate the same as they do specialist characters. So I thought I would make a video explaining to you what the different operators are, how they work, and how there is still kind of specialist abilities in the game. They're like kind of like specialist abilities light, and you'll kind of see what I mean by that as we talk through the video. Now, before we dive in, I do want to do a little bit of a Q&A with Modern Warfare. There's a lot of little details that haven't been covered on this channel, so if you have any questions about Modern Warfare, leave them down in the comments below. I'm curious to hear what you guys want to know about, and maybe in the future your comment will be featured on a video. So any questions at all, ask them down below. But without further ado, let's dive in and talk about operators. So when you're playing multiplayer, there is a menu on the top left. You can see play, weapons, operators, and barracks. When you go to operators, there is two different factions, if you want to call them that. You have the Coalition and you have the Allegiance. These are kind of like the two different forces, and underneath these forces there are several different operators. Now, each operator is essentially cosmetic only. Now, I don't know when the game fully comes out if there's going to be a more of a purpose to Allegiance or Coalition aside from cosmetic, but based off of everything they've told us so far, these are simply cosmetic only. So when we go inside the Coalition, you can see that each faction is going to have 10 different characters. Now, a bunch of these were locked and we couldn't look at them. However, we did get to see 4 on each side. First of all, the default character, that's the one you're looking at here. And then underneath Coalition, there are 3 factions underneath the faction. You got the SAS, Warcom, and the Demon Dogs. So the 3 characters we have under the Coalition, the first one is in the SAS. His name is Thorn. After that, once again, in the SAS division, you have Charlie. And then finally, in the Demon Dogs division, you have D-Day. So these are the 3 that we know what they look like. We know the names of the other ones, which I'm going to go through in a second, but these are the 3 that we actually got to see and play as. Each of these characters does not have their own abilities. They are the same characters all around, except for their voice lines, finishing moves, which is like when you stab someone in the back, and on top of that, cosmetics. So eventually you'll be able to unlock different cosmetics for each character, and that'll change the way that they actually look. So that will probably be the microtransactions that are actually within the game that actually give you the different looks for the characters. On top of that, I'm assuming that there's going to be to unlock different camos and stuff like that for their gear with challenges, but that's just me speculating at this point. Now, the one other thing that they did say about these characters is that each character is going to kind of have their own backstory, which, as you know, for me is something I like to cover on this channel. I love the backstories of different characters and things like that. So if that is true and we do see that in the future, you know that I will be covering that on this channel. Now, as far as the rest of the blacked out characters, we can't really see what they look like, but we do have all of their names. So the first one we got here is Otter. After that, Domino, then Golem, who appears to be wearing some sort of ghillie suit, and then Wyatt, Reigns, and finally Alice. So after that, we've got the Allegiance, and as you're seeing, that is the default character there. But then the 3 divisions inside are the Spetsnaz, Jackals, and the Chimera. Again, I have no idea what the difference in those factions are other than the names and the real world story behind them, but I'm assuming once we find out more about these characters, that might have more of an influence on who they are and their backstory. Now, the 3 characters that we actually get to see here, the first of which is Zane. Pretty straightforward character, nothing really special to him. After that, we've got Sid as part of the Chimera. And then finally, my personal favorite, you got Kruger. Of course, there's the mystery shrouded behind that kind of cloak sort of thing that he's wearing. I just think this one looks probably the coolest out of all of them that we've seen so far. But once again, there is a bunch of blacked out characters. And then once again, as far as the blacked out characters for the Allegiance, you've got Bale, Minotaur, Rodion, Azur, Grinch, which once again appears to be kind of like the ghillie suit character, and then finally Igor. So then once again, just to clarify, all of those characters are cosmetic items only. The only difference between Igor and Grinch is that they are wearing different things. One of them has a ghillie suit and one of them does not. So if you're listening, Infinity Ward, the one thing that I'd like to see for these characters is a bunch of cosmetics for them that you can only unlock by completing challenges, similar to hero gear that we saw in Black Ops 3. I think that adds a lot of longevity to the game, and that's just my opinion on it. But there are kind of specialist abilities in this game, so I thought we would go ahead and talk about those. They are not linked to any characters, and you can be playing as any character and choose any of the specialist abilities. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, when you actually go and are picking your class, your kill streaks, and everything like that, there's an option to also pick your field upgrade. So when we click on this, you can see a bunch of options. I'm guessing there's going to be more of these upon the actual launch of the game, but these are essentially specialist abilities. When you go into game, you can see right beside your kill streaks, there is a little bar that over time kind of ramps up, and by the time it's full, you can press L1 and R1 and use that abilities. And when I first saw this, I was really worried because I'm not a big fan of specialist abilities, but most of these are pretty damn balanced. So let me explain what all of them are. So first up, we've got munition box. This is very similar to Crash's refilling ammo for your team in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Basically, you throw it on the ground and then you can pick up more ammo. Now, the one thing that does worry me a little bit is you can also pick up equipment. So this includes like grenades and stuff like that. And hopefully it's limited to like one pickup per player, but I prefer if it just did ammo and not grenades and stuff like that, because I feel like this is just going to help people spam grenades. Imagine an entire team using this and constantly having grenades. The other thing you may notice here is on the left-hand side, it says recharge rate is medium. I believe that means it takes 1.5 minutes to charge up, the slow charging in 1 minute and 45 seconds, and the fast charging in 1 minute and 15 seconds. I might be a little bit off in that. I didn't get to test it perfectly while we were playing, but that's what I think it means. Also, from my experience, it didn't seem like kills and capturing objectives actually changed the charge time, but I could also be wrong about that. After this, we've got the recon drone, and we've seen things like this in previous Call of Duty games. Basically, you fly it up in the air and you can tag your enemies, and then your teammates can see them through the walls. Now, I think that's relatively fair. However, in game modes that are not respawn, like search and destroy, the fact that every member on a team can have one of these, I think is pretty overpowered. You can basically have one person use it every round, and you can see where everyone is on the map. The recharge rate is slow, but after like 2 rounds, everyone is going to have one of these things. So I think they need a little bit of tweaking there, especially maybe just make it not usable in non-respawn game modes like search, and I think that might make it fair. Now after this, we've got what's called stopping power rounds. This is the one thing that I absolutely think should be removed from the game. This is what I used pretty much the entire time we were playing there, and basically what it does is replaces one of your magazines with a magazine that has stopping power rounds. It makes it so that any gun you're using is 1 less bullet to kill. That is right, so I was using the M14, which is normally a 2-shot kill to the body, which is a semi-automatic sniper. You put in stopping power rounds, it is now a 1-shot kill. That is stupid overpowered. Now the thing that balances it, if you die, you then don't get those rounds anymore, and it takes 1 minute and 45 seconds to charge. So out of any of the field upgrades, this is by far the most overpowered one. I honestly think they should just take it out of the game. Whenever something's introduced that changes time to kill, like body armor in Black Ops 4, everyone hates it. So you'd think they would learn by now, but my advice, Infinity Ward, just take it out completely. After this, we've got a trophy system. I think this is awesome. I think this is a perfect implementation of a trophy system. You no longer have to use it as a special grenade. You can just use it whenever it's charged up, and it's great for objective game mode. So no problems with this one whatsoever. After this, we've got the tack insertion. I know a lot of people really don't like this for boosting and other things like that. It also throws off the spawns in the game, but if you're using this, you only get one about every minute to 1 minute and 15 seconds, so I don't really think it's that overpowered. In fact, if they leave stopping power in the game, I'm pretty sure just everyone's going to use that anyway, so all of the rest of these are just kind of pointless. Now, the last field upgrade is called Deployable Cover. A lot of people are really worried about this one because of the barricades in Black Ops 4. It is nothing like that. It's not nearly as big. It doesn't send out microwaves, and it's actually relatively small. You can see me killing off someone behind one here. I don't worry about this at all. I think it's relatively easy to counter, so no worries about this one. Now, the one other worry is if you look off to the right there, it says press L2 to activate Pro. Now, a lot of people are really worried about this. I've heard 2 theories, one of which I heard at the event, so I'm guessing this is the correct one. But apparently, if you press L2, it allows you to use 2 field upgrades. Now, the thing I don't understand about this is why would anyone not use this if that's the case? Maybe it causes them to charge up slower. I'm not 100% sure. The other theory is that it just simply makes whatever one you're using a little bit better. At this point, I don't know. I didn't see this when I was at the event. In fact, I didn't even see it until today when I was editing this video. So I'm not 100% sure, but if you have any ideas or you've heard what this does, let me know down in the comments. So ladies and gentlemen, those are operators, and that is how field orders work with operators. It is not quite specialist characters, but it's more like specialist abilities with whatever character you want to use, which I think is a pretty good in-between between the two. I just don't see why we need these field orders. The only one I think works really well is the trophy system, but hey, that's just me. I want to hear what you guys think though, so if you like these, if you love these, if you hate these, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, if you're new to the channel and want to stay up to date on everything Modern Warfare, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you have notifications on, and as always guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this to us.